Hey, you guys, my name is Spencer Reeves. This is my wife, Risa. We are the directors of Child Hope International here in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Today, we're bringing you our first quarter update to the Expanding Family Solutions CAFO grant.
But we first want to mention some stuff going on in Haiti, particularly with, and commonly in underdeveloped countries, where we are dealing with the issue of unstable government. But specifically in the last 6 or 9 months, it's caused lockdown, school closure, business closure, and above that, we've had constant disruption just getting around basic logistics. And so it's really messed up a lot of our planning, but we're pushing forward. One of the greatest impacts, though, with a lot of our work and our families is the good. The local currency has decreased in value by 20%, and that's just impacted everything. But with that said, we wanted to answer the first question on activities. And so number one was, what important activities have you engaged? We've engaged in 3 in particular ones we want to highlight: family tracing, buying a motorcycle, and building our relationship with the local social services called iBezer.
Yeah, with the family tracing, this is an ongoing process in family reunification. You're constantly looking for new relationships that are part of the family unit that can be supportive. It's really important to have the complete picture when we're talking about getting kids back to their families. So in December, we had a family photo shoot. And out of that, we got a lot of information regarding families. Some new family members that were living together. Some families had moved. So in that process for our social worker, we're expanding our files that we have on each child and their potential of reunification. One of the things that helped him in that was purchasing a motorcycle.
So in Haiti, a common way to get around the country is a motorcycle. It's also the fastest way with poor roads and limited access. So just having a motorcycle has increased our social work, ground activities by a ton, by having that one resource available to that piece of the work.
Yeah, it's really accelerated his work as well. The last item that we mentioned was developing our relationship with iBezer. They are the child protection services here in Haiti, and they are in a current overhaul as to how they review orphanages. So we've had a lot of assessments done this quarter, which are good, and we're for it, but it's taken up a lot of our time as well, and our social workers' time, having meetings down there at their office. Question 2, what successes have we seen?
So a huge success we've seen is with our staff who work directly with the children in the homes. We've come around and trained them to understand the importance of family and preserving family when we want to reunify children, finding family, and they've been a huge part of our progress. And so changing their mindsets over the years, and most recently in the last few months, has been a huge part of our successes.
Yeah, we've really empowered them as parasocial workers. So we've told them that they can put on a social worker hat, they can ask questions, and when we really sat down with our staff to get an understanding of the family profile, we've learned a lot. The staff has carried a lot of information around our kids. One of the successes I want to share, a quick story. We have a young boy that's been in our care for 5 years. On file, we knew of an older sister that was in the area. Last year, we were able to make a connection with her, and she shared that there was an aunt and an uncle that lived in the U.S. Well, we asked if we could contact them, and we never were able to, but in January this year, they showed up at the orphanage, and we had a great sit down with them, and they shared that it's their desire to take on the responsibility of this child. So we're looking at a potential reunification in June with this family. They want to build a home,
and with that, the staff are seeing, even specifically with this child, the behavior has changed since the family members increased. And so we're seeing the proof of the family members when they're found and we start building relationships, how it affects the child. And the staff see that, and we are trying to encourage them to encourage the child even more And so we're seeing it unfold right before our eyes, and we're excited about this potential reunification.
Question 3, what challenges have you encountered and potential solutions do you see? My first 2 challenges that we have, I really don't have solutions to these yet, but I want to share them because they're really impacting as to how we move forward. The first one was the government. We mentioned that early on. We've had we're on our 3rd prime minister since July. Food prices have gone up 20 to 30%. Our value in currency has gone down. And these are all stressors on family units here in Haiti. So this is amplifying poverty, and there's a lack of job creation here, which makes things really difficult. As over the last year and a half, as we've engaged families and called them back to the table and started building these relationships with the kids, the second challenge I want to talk about is death of family members. We've begun these relationships, and then due to poverty or violence, we've seen family members pass away. So 3 of our kids in our care, since we started reconnecting with their families, have attended funerals, and a few of those have been primary caregivers for potential reunification. So that's been really difficult. I think we've had a total of 5 deaths around us. So.
And the last challenge we just want to mention is just internal processes and procedures that we've worked on cleaning up for over the last few years, trying to make things more orderly, transparent, and accountable. Just building the child's case file alone, if they get reunified, they have one file that goes with them, and we're just trying to build up their history, especially for the ones that have been in the care of our orphanage for some of them 10 years. And so finding information and photos of their years or just their whole life, we're just wanting their personal case file to be personalized. And that's been challenging, along with procedures and policies within the organization. We have a huge hurdle and time constraint with translation into the local language. So that takes up a lot of our ability to train and implement better procedures. So those are our challenges.
Question 4, what priorities do we have for next quarter? Right now, we have 3 children that are ready for reunification in June. Their families have gone through a process with our social worker. We've done overnight stays with each of the children and their families, and we're just waiting until the end of school to do that. Second item that is ongoing is aftercare follow-up. This is where we just continue to learn about the family's needs. Each family's different. And so we have monthly follow-ups that are announced and unannounced by our social worker with the families. And from those meetings, we really get a good idea of what are their stressors, what are their needs. Most of them are around poverty, but we then are networking resources in their area and with our partners to try to strengthen the family.
And priority 3 and 4, 3 would be hiring a full-time counselor. With trauma-informed care, we have the greatest need for a full-time counselor. Every case carries its own unique story, and so as the reunifications or family planning begins, the counselor is really instrumental to help everybody understand the emotional, psychological needs for the child and the family. So we really wish to find one. We have limited capability here finding personnel full-time. We've had amazing help in the past of part-time. Mm-hmm. And then our 4th is to hire another social worker full-time. We just have the need to increase our social work, and so we hope to find one soon.
Yeah, with the counselor too, we've had incredible support, like you said, from a few people, but we really want to hire someone full-time that can be present day in, day out with our kids in this process, preparing them back to their families. And the social work can only get better. There's just a lot of footwork that needs to be done. So this concludes our first quarter update. Thanks a lot.